Hello, hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to the Blitzburg Coverage Podcast. I'm your host, K Frickin' Mac. It has been quite some time, man. I haven't done a podcast since March 16th, 2025. It is now April 23rd, 2025. And it's finally here, y'all. We have finally made it. We can talk about it. We're going to talk about it. The 2025 NFL Draft awaits us tomorrow, as today is Wednesday because we're winning. That's what we do on Wednesdays. We turn into Wednesdays because we get dubs. We talk about dubs. We eat dubs. But, yeah, man, let's talk about it. NFL Draft starts tomorrow night, 8 p.m. Eastern Time, round 1. And then we're talking rounds 2 and 3 on Friday. And then we finish up on Saturday, rounds 4 through 7. So 4, 5, 6, and 7 on the longest day of Saturday. 2 and 3 Friday night. And then tomorrow, obviously, is round 1, which is where typically the best players are. But that is not to say there aren't good players in day 2 and day 3. So let's just talk about, where we are as we stand today looking into this thing. When you look at this team, what screams to be a need, what doesn't look to be a need, what's okay, what can be upgraded, things of that nature. So let's just start off right off the bat with the defense. Defensive line for sure is a need right now, I would say. Outside of Cameron Hayward, you can't really give me a confident answer as who's the other defensive end. We lost Larry Ogunjobi. We've made a couple of depth signings in the offseason, but if the season were to start tomorrow, who's the opposite D end? Not really sure. I know Keanu Benton plays D tackle for us. Couple years ago, he was a draft pick in the 3rd round, I want to say, out of Wisconsin with Nick Herbig. And I think he'll step up this year. I think he'll probably have a bigger role, but that's only 2 guys. And when you're in a division like we're in, where you're playing run-heavy teams in the Ravens, the Browns, probably not so much the Bengals. Obviously, they're more of a sling it and wing it kind of game offense with Burrow, Ja'Marr Chase, T. Higgins, but still stopping the run is inevitably needed in this game in order to, try to have any sort of success on defense. So for me, definitely defensive end, defensive line screams as a need to me. Linebackers, not so much. You can look at middle linebackers. Really the only sort of, I guess I'd call it a wash. We lose Atlanta Roberts to the Raiders, and we pay a little bit of a heavier contract for a player, Malik Harrison from the Ravens. I'm not sure what our fascination is with Raven linebackers, but now that makes 2 of them. As you're looking at Patrick Queen there with Peyton Wilson in year 2. They also seem to show a lot of confidence in the return of Cole Holcomb, who has been a bit of an injury-prone player in his career. Though he hasn't played a whole lot, he's been in the NFL for a while, and he spent a lot of his time being more hurt than actually on the field when you look at his Washington days. And unfortunately, he got hurt 2 years ago. I don't know what game it was, but I remember he did get injured. So I guess they must feel confident in that core group of 4 that consists of Patrick Queen, Peyton Wilson, Cole Holcomb, and then Malik Harrison. Outside linebackers / edge players, there's nobody really there that jumps on the screen to me that we need to go get. There's no reason to. Obviously, you can see it, number 90. We still got that guy, Alex Highsmith. Alex Highsmith coming on the other side. Pretty good duo. And then you have Nick Herbig in year 3 coming off the edge as a outside linebacker 3. Or potentially, you could throw in some packages. We were able to finally see some of that where we saw all 3 of them on the field at times. So, I don't think there's no need to draft an edge player there in this draft especially. And then we get to cornerbacks. You look at CB1 for sure is Joey Porter Jr. CB2 is probably the older veteran Darius Slay, who's on his last year or maybe last leg. I don't like that. CB3 slash the slot corner is probably going to be Benny Bishop, who played the first half of last season as the starting nickelback. And then you probably look at the other CB4 as Corey Trice Jr. They showed a lot of confidence in him after he returned from injury, throwing him in a kind of a starting role, honestly, I would say. They gave him a lot of snaps. So I think they're pretty confident in that group. And then they made a couple of signings like Brandon Eccles. Not sure what we're going to get out of Ryan Watts, who was our defensive back from Texas that we drafted last year, who was kind of a heavier safety, heavier defensive back, probably a guy towards the line of scrimmage. Not sure where he's looking as far as his injury that he suffered in that preseason finale against Detroit. So that's another name to watch out for. And then safeties. You're looking at, I think Deshaun Elliott has 1 year left in his deal. Minkah Fitzpatrick's not going anywhere. Who's behind those guys? I know we lost DeMonte Kazee. Not sure who's really the backups other than Miles Killebrew, who was a special teams player. Maybe you could look at a safety. As far as the defense goes, I really look at defensive line and potentially a cornerback. So let's jump to the offense because I know that's what everybody's waiting for. Let's just start up front because that's how the offense moves up front. That's how it all starts. When you look at this offensive line this year, you're looking at a projected lineup of, from left to right, Broderick Jones finally getting his chance to shine at left tackle, which is where he should have been the entire time, but we played him at right tackle and probably showed more inconsistencies and bads more than goods. So, just little mental mistakes, not knowing the timing, snap count, stuff like that. I mean, those are just little mistakes that really have held him back. And he hasn't really looked the best at right tackle. And this was a player we traded up for 2 years ago in Omar Khan's first draft. So it's year 3. It's put up or shut up time. You're back at left tackle. Let's see it, man. We need it. Blindside protector. Massive role this season. I don't expect us to take a tackle at all in this draft. Then we go to left guard, which is probably going to be Isaac Seumalo. I think he has a year left on his deal. I think he's about 29 or 30 years old. And I think when you also consider Mason McCormick is probably going to be the starting right guard, I think guard is a sneaky, low-key play here in the draft. Whether it be a potential starter or whether it's a player drafted later in rounds 3 or 4, I think guard is a sneaky play. What is Mason McCormick's ceiling? Is he going to be a top 15 guard in the league? I'm not sure. He showed some good things last year, but there's no way we expected him to be the starting guard last year. But unfortunately, James Daniels suffers an injury that ends his season, and in comes Mason McCormick, who played well for a player that was from a smaller school. But we need depth. So I definitely think guard is a low-key, sneaky play people aren't talking about enough. Then we go to center, Zach Frazier, who was pretty good last year for a rookie. Didn't really allow any pressure, big-time pressures or missed snaps, really, outside of that Justin Fields baloney, which happened a few times. But outside of that, I thought Zach Frazier played pretty well for a rookie. And his ceiling, his probably a top 10, top 8, top 6 kind of center kind of guy. Franchise center. So at least we have that going for us. Then that'll bring us to right tackle, the unknown commodity of Troy Fautanu, who was our first-round pick last year. Again, was thrust into a weird position of starting week 2 at Denver, and then unfortunately I think suffered a knee season-ending injury that game. So then we saw Broderick Jones thrown back in there. So this line is young, and it does need time to gel. Is the offensive line coach the right guy? I'm not sure, but the excuses are out the window. This line has to start looking better. You're talking Broderick Jones, former first-round pick. Isaac Seumalo was a pretty solid signing from the Eagles. Zach Frazier, second-round pick. Right guard Mason McCormick, fourth-round pick. And then first-round pick Troy Fautanu. So, the talent is there. Now we just need time for that to gel. So then that'll bring us to the most talked about position this offseason for the Pittsburgh Steelers, and that is the quarterback position. Currently on the roster, we only have two guys that consist of Mason Rudolph, a guy we're very familiar with. He's been here, he's done that. He was with the Tennessee Titans last year, and now we also have Skylar Thompson, who was a third-string quarterback for the Miami Dolphins, who saw some playing time with the injuries to Tua Tagovailoa. I can't say I'm not going to try to pronounce his name, but you get what I'm saying. Omar Khan mentioned that they want 4 quarterbacks heading into training camp. We have 2. We need 2. Who are those 2 going to consist of? My gut tells me it's going to be a quarterback in this draft, whether it be in the first round or in the third, maybe the fourth, but I'm thinking first or third round. And then Aaron Rodgers. That's what my gut's telling me. Another possibility is probably a undrafted free agent quarterback and then a first-round pick in this draft. And then there you go. There's 4. You got a training camp arm, and then you usually carry at least 3 throughout the season. So that's probably most likely case. My opinion on quarterbacks this year, my worst fear is drafting Jackson Dart at 21. Is Shedeur Sanders going to fall to 21? There's a good chance. When you look past teams like the Giants, the Browns, who pick at 2 and 3. When you look past the Saints, who pick at 9, there's a good chance he could fall to us. But as there is in every draft, there are draft surprises. There are trades, trade ups, trade downs. Does a team jump into that spot after the Saints in the top 15-ish and draft Shedeur Sanders? Maybe that's a possibility. Nobody really knows. But when you look at the teams after the New Orleans Saints, a lot of them don't need quarterbacks. So there's a good chance he falls to Pittsburgh. And if he falls to 21, they're going to draft him. I don't doubt that for 1 second. My gut tells me, and just kind of what I've been reading, Mike Tomlin and, Shedeur Sanders had a very lengthy workout session type of day. They spent 6 hours together, private sessions, stuff like that. They had a good meeting with Shedeur, reportedly at least. So I think that's a very solid possibility. But again, who really knows? Because this quarterback draft consists of Cam Ward, Shedeur Sanders, Jackson Dart, Kyle McCord, Tyler Show, Jalen Milroe, Quinn Ewers, and a homeboy from Ohio State, Will Howard. So if you don't draft one in the first round, they're definitely going to draft one in round 3, maybe 4. I don't care what. I mean, obviously, I think they need to go best player available at 21. What that's probably going to be is probably going to be a defensive lineman or a quarterback. But yeah, quarterback is definitely going to be drafted in the draft. There's no question. If you haven't come to that reality, you're delusional. We're not going to roll into the season with just Mason Rudolph and Skylar Thompson and then a undrafted free agent. It's not going to happen. It's not going to happen. So, quarterback for sure is in play. Running backs, right now we only really have 2 running backs. I want to say Jaylen Warren signed his tender the other day, and Kenneth Gainwell. And that's it. That's it. So, running back for sure is in play. Potentially in the first round. The only name that comes to mind is Omarion Hampton from North Carolina, I want to say. Could be a guy there potentially, but I fully expect running back to be a round 3 selection, maybe round 4, but there's no doubt in my mind they're definitely going to draft a running back. They're not going to put the entire load on Jaylen Warren and Kenneth Gainwell's shoulders. Running back is definitely going to be drafted in the draft. So wide receiver, there's not really much of a need for a wide receiver unless they decide to trade George Pickens during the draft, which at that point really just disregards the entire trade for DK Metcalf, in my opinion. Why would you do that? There's no need to do that because you're not going to find a wide receiver in this draft that is going to be a better receiver for you than George Pickens this season. So you might as well just keep him. Don't create another need just to get draft capital for round 2. Because that's what that would be for. That would be to get draft capital for round 2/3, which basically disregards the DK Metcalf trade. So are you really going to have DK Metcalf with Calvin Austin III and an unknown and Roman Wilson? Probably not. You're not. There's not even, at least if you keep Pickens in there. Rudolph and him have already played together. There's a bit of a wavelength there, so I don't know, man. But the only receiver that maybe comes to mind would be a Matthew Golden, maybe Ibuka from the Ohio State. I'm not going to say their name because I hate them with a passion, but maybe Ibuka. But again, to me, if we're having Pickens and DK, there's not really much of a need to draft a receiver because Calvin Austin III, Roman Wilson, Scotty Miller, those guys can be 3s and 4s. I mean, there's only one rock. Who's the quarterback going to be? Is the receiver really going to change things? No. So, yeah, to me, nah. Tight ends, no need to talk about that. Freiermuth and Darnell Washington don't even get utilized enough, so we're not going to talk about drafting a Tyler Warren or a Colson Loveland. There's no need for that, so we're not going to waste our time on that topic. And then kicker and punter, I'm not going to talk about that either. So, yeah, there you go. So let's talk about, every draft, you're allowed to have 30 pre-draft visitors. So whether, pretty sure they come to the facility, take a visit, meet with the coaches, coordinators, their position coaches, where they're drafted, running backs coach, wide receiver coach, meet with those kind of guys. And when you look at the 30 draft visitors the Steelers have had, you're talking 17 offensive players and then 13 defensive players. I have my nice and handy-dandy little board here. Quarterbacks that they talked and met with: Tyler Show, Jackson Dart, Shedeur Sanders, Colin McCord. So Jackson Dart and Shedeur Sanders are definitely in play there in the first round. I just pray to Jesus they don't take Jackson Dart at 21. That gives me major Kenny Pickett vibes. I mean, we took Pickett 2 years ago and then tossed him away, and we took him at 22. And probably, you know what? That draft class, quarterback-wise, was worse than this quarterback class. So that was a complete failure. But, yeah, I think Dart is in play. Dart is in play. Whether I like it or not, there's a chance they'll take him. Running backs, so back to the quarterbacks. So that's 4 quarterbacks they had a pre-draft visit with. 9 running backs. The only player I have written down that's a potential first-round prospect is Omarion Hampton. I'm not going to talk about the other names, but I know there's like a Jaden Blue. There's a couple other really good running backs there. I know Travion Henderson was one of them as well, so that could be a potential other first-round pick player. Just depends who's there. Another wide receiver they met with was Matthew Golden, and they met with 4 wide receivers, so there is some interest there, but not a whole lot. No offensive linemen were in talks, and tight ends, none either there. Defensive tackles, there were 8 defensive tackles, which, wow, that's a lot. A couple names that come to mind: Derek Harmon from Oregon, one of the first-round players. Another one is potentially Darius Alexander, defensive tackle from Toledo. No Kenneth Grant, which is very upsetting to me considering the dude was a beast at Michigan. I'm a Michigan fan, so I'm not being biased. Just telling how I fucking see it. Good run stopper, quicker than you think. Needs to develop more of a pass rush game, but great run stopper. Could be easy a defensive tackle. Maybe a nose. You could literally just, if we took a Kenneth Grant, like that's honestly, if there's really one player that I want that I would just be fine with, it's a safe pick. It's Kenneth Grant. Okay. The dude's faster than you think. He has a nice pass. He has a decent pass rush, but he definitely needs to work on that. But as far as stopping the run, we could literally just play him at nose. You know, you're talking your base package, which would consist of Kenneth Grant, Keanu Benton, Cam Hayward, TJ, and Alex Highsmith. That's a nasty front five. And then you have, you know, there in the middle, fucking Patrick Queen, and then Peyton Wilson or Cole Holcomb. I can live with that. I'm more than happy with that. Or you could fucking even mix it. You can mix up fucking Kenneth Grant and, you know, Keanu Benton. Keep one of them fresh. Mix them in. Rotate. Now you have a solid rotation. But for whatever reason, they didn't have a pre-draft visit with Kenneth Grant. Only one edge player. And that was I think it was that outside linebacker from Texas A&M. Who was a first-round player. Irrelevant. 3 cornerbacks. Nobody that really comes to mind. And then safety, Nick Imonawari, who I think from South Carolina, a safety, more in the box, but that's just another guy they had to visit with. So you're looking at quarterback, running back, wide receiver, D tackle, 3 cornerbacks, an edge, a safety. So a lot of running backs and defensive linemen. And the reason why I'm even bringing up these 30 pre-draft visitors is because when we look at past Steeler drafts, a lot of the draft selections come from those 30 pre-draft visitors. Those are guys they've shown interest in. They want to get to know them on a personal level. You know, how would their game translate over into our world, our game? How do the schematics match up? Is what they're seeing on tape, does that match up to what they're looking for? Things of that nature. And then obviously they'll meet with the OCs, the DCs, their position coaches, and so, you know, I think the names for me, if I'm looking in the first round, 2 names come to mind, Shedeur Sanders or Derek Harmon. Or if you wanted to say what position, quarterback / defensive tackle in the first round for me. Round 2, obviously we traded that away to DK Metcalf. Round 3, I'm looking at most likely a running back, or if we didn't draft a quarterback in the first round, it's probably going to be a quarterback in the 3rd round. You're talking probably a Jalen Monroe, maybe a Kyle McCord, maybe a Quinn Ewers, but again, it's not on their list, so I don't know, man. I don't know. But for me, this draft screams, you know, maybe a guard there in the 4th round, 5th, because we are gonna attack the trenches, whether it be on the defensive line, but I don't expect it to be extremely offensive line heavy like it has been the past 2 years. We've definitely made investments there. Now they just need to wait, be patient, and let it pay off. But I fully expect us to attack the defensive line for sure. So, you know, you're probably seeing the first 3 or 4 picks, some type of combination of quarterback, offensive, running back, and defensive tackle. So to me, and we're obviously going to recap, I don't know how we're going to do this. Maybe I'll do an instant reaction tomorrow night after the first round. Maybe I won't. Maybe I'll just wait till day 2. We'll see. But for sure, I'm thinking at 21, Shedeur Sanders or Derek Harmon's the move. It's the pick. It's one of those 2. If Shedeur's not there, I'm not taking a quarterback at 21. No thanks. I don't want a Jalen Monroe. I don't want a Jackson Dart because those guys to me aren't top 20 players. I'd rather take a safe pick, somebody that's going to be a solid starter, gives us another defensive line player because we fucking need it. All right, Cam Hayward is fucking 34. And who else is good besides him? I mean, Keanu Benton's okay, but who the fuck has it to say Cam Hayward suffers injury? Now look how bad that D-line looks. That's my point. So give me a D lineman at 21 if it's not Shedeur Sanders. And I think Shedeur, you know, he has a 74% completion percentage, 40-some touchdowns. I thought he was decent with Colorado. I'm not going to fucking say he's going to be the next coming of Deion Sanders fucking Jr., but I thought he played okay. Pac-12 competition, sometimes it's a valid argument, sometimes it's not. Sometimes if you're that guy, you're that guy. He obviously took a lot of sacks. I think sometimes he got off script too much, played a little bit of backyard ball too much, which can hurt you, could bite you in the ass. Try to do too much, just take your check down. But at the same time, some guys have that second level instinct. Sometimes they can extend the play, and that's when they're more dangerous. So you take the good with the bad when you have a gunslinger. Some guys got it, some guys don't. But he did take some sacks at times when he didn't need to. Did he have the best offensive line? No, but is it all the offensive line's fault? No. Sometimes quarterbacks just hold on to the ball too long. See Russ, for example, last year. Sometimes he sucked, sometimes the line sucked. It's in the middle. It's on both of them. So, but do we trade up for Shedeur? Maybe. Probably not though, because we don't have a lot of draft capital this draft anyways. So that's just my gut feeling. What do you guys think? I'm thinking Shedeur or Derek Carman there at 21. Maybe trade down, but I don't see us trading down unless there's nobody there we fucking like. If there's nobody there that we like at 21, maybe you trade down with the Bills. Maybe you trade down with the Rams. Try to get a round 2 pick for this draft. Maybe an early round 3. Who knows? What do I fucking know? I'm just a crazy psychopathic fan. But you guys have a great freaking Wednesday. We'll talk tomorrow night. We will talk tomorrow night. Stay tuned. Share the podcast. Love the podcast. We are everywhere. Facebook, Twitter, /X, Instagram, YouTube, TikTok. And I'm kind of singing, but I'm really excited. Today's Wednesday. Great weather. Hope you all enjoying the spring. And get fucking ready, man. This is the first time in a long time I really don't know what the fuck we're going to do. I really don't know. Every year I knew what we were going to do. And it's like when you look at the past 10 drafts, we have failed. So this first round pick is crucial. The past 10 years, you're talking 2015 was Bud Dupree, 2016, Artie Burns, 2017, TJ Watt, good. Bud Dupree was good. Artie Burns, 2018, Terrell Edmonds, we reached massively on a third-round player. 2019, we traded for Devin Bush. Had a good rookie year, then he busted. Thumbs down. 2020, we didn't have a first-round pick because we traded that for Minka Fitzpatrick. We took Chase Claypool. Not some Manos. 2021, we took Najee Harris. I would say that was a good pick. Not a great pick, but do we put him in the best position to succeed? No. Was it the right pick at the time? Maybe not. 2022, Kenny Pickett, miss. I called that miss from the fucking moment we drafted that guy. 2023, Broderick Jones, to be decided. 2024, Troy Fautanu, to be decided. So, Omar Khan's 2 drafts in. He's got some players. Are they being utilized right or wrong? Who knows? But we need to hit on the first pick tomorrow. We need to. This franchise has had too many setbacks in the first round in recent memory. And we need to hit on it. Give me a B. Just give me a fucking B player at a position of need, and I'm fine. Just do not, and please God, do not draft Jackson Dart. Please God, don't. He was a pedestrian, decent quarterback at best for Ole Miss. That's it. At least Kenny Pickett was running for the Heisman candidacy. That's all I'm going to say. At least he did that. Jackson Dart at Ole Miss. No mas. No thank you. But you guys have a great day. Share the podcast. Like I mentioned, we're everywhere. YouTube, TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter /X. Have a great day. Stay safe. And we will talk tomorrow night. I'm pumped. We are ready. Let's go. # here we go.